Nesil Caliskan is leader of Enfield Council, and at NLA we view Enfield as one of a handful of boroughs who are raising the game in the role that the public sector plays in improving the quality of life for their residents. So taking control of Meridian Water was a game changer in the way large-scale development is delivered. So Nez, how is that going, and what are the benefits of putting the council in the driving seat in the way you have?
Well, it's just over 2 years from taking the decision to take the delivery of Meridian control away from a master developer approach to, as you say, the local authority taking control and really being at the forefront of delivering the different phases and the overall scheme, site by site, phase by phase. The overall benefit of that is, of course, you have a local authority that can really shape the place and the development. And this is a project that will span sort of 20 years. And over a 20-year period, many things can change. So having the flexibility of being able to develop a site at a particular time to meet a particular need without having to decide that all in advance is very, very helpful, and also speaks to our commitment as a local authority to make sure that we are not only driving forward development in the borough ourselves as a local authority, but that we are integral in the development and the design of it, so that we can ensure that it's a place created for Enfield residents. The other benefit, of course, is that there are only a handful of local a handful of global companies that could deal with a project like Meridian Water, given the scale. By delivering it site by site, phase by phase, you suddenly open it up to many more organisations, and I think that is a benefit. And we've used the GLA development panel to appoint our first partner for phase 1, and we've seen that we've been able to accelerate delivery, which is a really crucial objective of the whole Meridian Water scheme, just to get on and build. And I'd say the final benefit is that you can make the overall project more than just about housing. More than just about the bricks and mortar and place that people live, and so alongside the housing delivery, we've developed a meanwhile use for the land that we're not quite building on yet, and we can have a real focus on job creation. And it's the combination of all of the things that allow us to create a town that is for the people of the borough, and creates a great place rather than just bricks and mortar of homes.
As you say, we need developments that can change over time, and that's going to be particularly important as we come out of COVID-19. But you also have your own energy company, and you declared climate emergency last July and aiming to be carbon neutral by 2030. So do you think the pandemic is going to put you off track, or will you think maybe the desire of many people to build back better as we emerge from this crisis help deliver greener and cleaner environment? Particularly in improving the energy efficiency of existing buildings?
Yeah, I mean, the energy company that Enfield Council has had has been in place for a number of years now, and it's really innovative project. It was very much linked to the house delivery because of the Meridian Water site, but I think the general question around commitments around climate change, and us alongside other local authorities, as you've highlighted, declared a climate change emergency, presents us with the opportunity to do things more holistically. So actually on Wednesday night at our cabinet, we agree our climate change strategy, which I think goes beyond just targets for the local authority as an entity, as a major employer, but speaks more to how do we make sure the borough, through our supply chain, through the place, through the behaviour of residents, becomes more sustainable. And at the heart of that is transport, connectivity, of course house building too, which is why our major estate renewal programs have sustainability plans attached to them now. That's a move that is quite different to how things were delivered previously. But that having a strategy for carbon reduction is the first step. The challenge, of course, will be delivering that. And there are many things I think COVID means that it's a greater challenge for us on many fronts. I think the climate change efforts and carbon reduction efforts are so long term. I don't see that COVID, apart from a cash flow issue of the council, will be hindered. This is more about long term systemic change. And quite honestly, if you build it into your plans, if you make sure that that is a red line that you're unwilling to compromise on, then I think we can feel confident that we can make progress. And you know, local authorities have got to lead the way on this. If we're not doing it, we can't expect others to.
Well, another area where you're leading way is Cllr Enfield, the Mini Holland program, and that's been a great success. At least it seems from looking from the outside, and must have prepared the borough well for the move to walking and cycling we're seeing at the moment. So do you think we're going to see an acceleration of improvements for walking and cycling going forward, and reduction in dependency on the motor car?
Well, of course, the COVID crisis has been really interesting because people have really been able to benefit from the huge open spaces and parks that we've got in the borough, and also wanting to get their daily exercise through walking and connecting to different parts of the borough through sustainable transport. So, you know, we saw an increase in the number of people cycling, for example. So the crisis itself, I think, has provided a cohort of residents right to experience borough through transport in a more sustainable way. But equally, I think the trends that we may see in terms of people working from home more, given that they don't want to get on maybe trains and travel across London, but also many offices allowing people to work from home. You know, what that means for trends of people using our town centres, more sustainable transport, that will be really interesting in the coming months. We want to increase footfall to our town centres as a way to support our local economy. But equally, we recognise that the vehicle use in our town centres, most of it is associated with small journeys, short journeys. That's not sustainable. It does nothing to improve air quality. And in my borough, where health inequalities are significant, it would be unacceptable for us to talk about improving health inequalities. It would be unrealistic without tackling the issue of air pollution very, very ambitiously.
But you were quick out of the blocks to create a program to support your high streets at this difficult time. So how are you going to help them going forward, obviously facing problems both of COVID, but also competition from internet and other issues like that?
Over the last 18 months, we've had quite an active programme of high street and town centre engagement. So we rolled out we had a road show, we did big town hall kind of meetings for each town centre, and we have 5 major town centres. They're very different from each other. They each have their own character, they each have their own history, they each have their own vibrancy, and the challenge has been, one, connecting to each other, but also enhancing each of them on their own terms. So we've had about an 18-month period where there's been huge engagement with local communities, partly because the town centres are identified in our local plan for development, for housing, but also because we recognise town centres could do with a bit of reinvigoration and support. The COVID period has been interesting because our initial focus for our town centres and businesses was on survival. Because we recognise that if a shop closes, it's going to be very difficult for them to reopen. It's far better if they survive, even in skeleton form, so that when the time comes, they can get better, they can re-energise, and they can grow in business. But closing would be disastrous for our town centres. So the focus is on survival, so getting out the business rate relief scheme, the business grants, we set up a business support hub, for example. There was a direct line so that businesses could phone officers and get support. So there was a kind of a practical survival mode. We then began to think about building up resilience for those businesses. How were we able to support those businesses so they could evolve, gain resilience and survive over a longer period of time, because we recognised COVID wasn't going anywhere. So we provided things like a shop appy so that businesses could get an online presence, for example. And at the moment, we are trying to prepare our town centres, and we've done a lot of work so that they can attract additional footfall with the easing of lockdown, but to do so in a safe way. So toolkits were sent out to 3,000 businesses, practical kind of support, guidance on distancing. And alongside all of that, we recognised that when the time came for the easing of lockdown, through encouraging people to go to the town centre, we wanted to make it safe. And so we put in a number of bids to the GLA to secure additional money so that we can improve the street scene. We can widen pavements, for example, and through licensing allow traders to be on the pavements. I think we're one of the local authorities who've been granted the most amount of money to deliver those. And I'd say that's for two reasons. One, I would hope, the GLA recognises that we are a good delivery partner. But secondly, because of the work over the past 2 years, we almost have plans that are on the shelf and ready to go. And so we're very quickly able to present those to the GLA. So our local economy depends a lot on micro and small businesses. So it was critical to be able to help them to survive, build some resilience, and now look to a recovery.
Thank you very much, Des, for your insights. It's very encouraging to hear what Enfield are doing, and we'll watch your progress with interest. Thank you very much.